welcome to this week's edition of EventWell Talks. I hope you've enjoyed the networking element. There'll be more of that at the end at 5 o'clock when we finish our panel session and our Q&A for you. So you've got another half an hour of networking, so you can spend that time making some connections. Just to go over the agenda for the event for you, we'll kick off with 20 minutes of panel discussion. And then we'll go into 40 minutes Q&A, so we'll be taking your questions. If you're having any problems, then just let me know in the chat panel. You can see it's to the right hand side of this presentation screen, and I'll try and help you from there. If you have a question you'd like to ask Emma or Lou, then use the Q&A sector that you can see there on that right hand panel. You can also vote for other questions that people would have asked as well, and then in our 40-minute Q&A session, we'll go through those questions for you. We'll try and get through as many as we can. So the title for this week's EventWell Talks is Managing Event Cancellations and Postponements While Managing Your Sanity. I'm delighted that we're joined by Managing Director at Event Shapers, Lou Kiwanuka, and CEO at CHS Group. So a round of applause for both ladies for coming and sharing their experiences with us today during what is probably a very tricky and difficult period for the industry, and what is also quite an emotive subject for us today as well. Okay, so hello ladies. Good afternoon. Hello. So I thought we'd kick off just really by asking you both, generally, I mean, how have you been? How are you? It's a surreal and tricky time for the industry at the moment. None of us really have ever experienced anything like this in our careers before. So just for both, how are you adjusting? How are you managing?
Shall I go first, Lou? Yeah. For me, actually, it's on a day-to-day basis. In terms of routine, it's not been that different. My entire team are remote anyway, so we all work from home. So we haven't had to adjust. We haven't had to get used to new systems. We rely heavily on Zoom, Skype, lots of different, packages for how we work. It's the kind of work we're doing is a bit different. For me, it's very much more thinking time that I need. It's more strategy. It's more kind of, I've never done so much scenario planning in my life in terms of, because we just don't know what's happening. We're just trying to kind of think of all the different scenarios that may or may not come up in the next sort of 12 to 18 months, really, not just now.
Yeah.
From that perspective, but I think also I'm full of cold at the moment, and I think as soon as it's like when you go on holiday, isn't it? As soon as you stop. Your body, now's a great time to be ill, kind of. So it's kind of, and it's just. I've got no other symptoms, so for me, it's kind of I'm more tired. Definitely, I'm sleeping, so a good 9-10 hours a night. Some nights just because I think my body's just getting used to being a bit different. But I'm also, it's nice to I'm somebody we all are, I guess, on here. We're used to running around the country, staying in hotels, meetings all over sometimes heavily overseas as well. So it's quite nice just to wake up in the same bed every morning and not wake up and try and think, okay, where am I? Which hotel am I in? Where, am I at home? Yeah. So it's very different and it's challenging. But for us, fortunately, it's not been a big shift in the way that we operate anyway.
Yeah. That's probably a good point. I've never thought of that before. It probably is at the moment the longest any of us as events people have spent in our homes and in our own beds, hasn't it? Yeah.
People, not everyone likes that. Some people, probably going, and then there is an element of crazy stuff. But yeah, I don't want to appear insensitive because it is a sensitive time. But for me, it's actually doing the world of good just being in one place and relaxing and just trying to take that time for me and seeing the positive in that. But again, I don't mean that to be insensitive, because I know it's obviously a very difficult time for a lot of people too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely, I agree with that wholeheartedly, 100%. So Lou, what about you? How have you been?
Yeah, all right. Kind of it's been a bit odd really, because actually, I had 2 weeks isolation kind of before the country went into lockdown because I was ill with something else, and I couldn't go into the office because they'd not had chicken pox or someone there. So I feel like I'm on like 2 weeks further lockdown. So is it similar? And I think out of this you have to take the positives, because if you look at the broadest level of the picture, on every level, financial, security, family, health, society, government, it's there's so many things you could look at with a negative view. So I'm choosing to take the best bits. Like I'm a single mum to a 13-year-old boy. I mean, the poor kid, it's about the time he just wants to be as far away from me as possible, and he's stuck in the house with me. But kind of taking the opportunities of engaging your kids, if you've got kids, or yourself in society and human kindness, is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. We won't get this. Hopefully, we won't get this level of requirement again. So making sure that he's aware of the world around him is a massive plus point, I think. As the owner of a business, I don't know about you guys, but I certainly feel like people's livelihoods are in my hands, and clients, shows are in partially in our hands as well, in terms of the ability to deliver them at a later date, and that kind of overwhelming responsibility does mean that, like you were saying, in terms of contingency planning and strategy and stuff, it feels like I'm on a big game of chess. Like you can only see the set of moves just in front of you, but there's still a whole board to be played, and that can provide a certain level of uncertainty, of constantly thinking, what's going to happen next. If we look back 8 weeks, we were probably first affected because we had shows in China, so pretty much from Christmas, when we got back up to Christmas, we were in the thick of change, if you see what I mean. Then on a personal note, I date, like, I've had quite a lot of adversity in my past, which I always think builds you up for a lot of resilience. And anyone that hasn't had adversity in their past, then this is the time of where you'll build your resilience. And I just think everybody's on their own path there. People will be resilient to a certain extent or another. I'm actually just happy now that times weren't particularly great for a lot of time in the past, because it doesn't unsettle me as much now as it did then.
Yes. Yeah.
Add to that, I totally agree with you, Lou. I actually had an event management business that started off in the year 2000, and it went under during, it was 2008. Was that SARS in 2008? And we just didn't survive that. And I must admit, when this hit, I had my head down for a couple of weeks, really struggling to come to terms with it, and it just brought back all those memories straight away. How it does, it comes in, and I was like, I can't do this again. I can't, I went through, lost everything, business went under, went to see, lost my home, everything. And it's kind of that fear of just, and I kind of, luckily, I just kept, after about a week or so, I thought, this is different. The business is different. You've got a much stronger business model, and just trying to make myself realise everything that was different this time in a positive way. I've managed to kind of like pull myself back out with it, and luckily had lots of really good people around me. I think now it's great for everyone who's on this call now. Good on you for being here, in terms of just getting the right people around you. Kind of, if you're struggling, just pull you up and say, and very sadly for our industry, there will be a lot of people got out of business, and that is, I think, a reality. But as being through that does not mean the end. I was back up and running in the industry, but doing something different within a month. I went and did freelance work for a while with one of my clients that I had, and then got the opportunity to sort of do the conference hospitality show. And my business it's a better business for all that happening. I'm better at I know what steps I need to take now that I didn't know last time. So and I don't look back on that. It can say, come and get me, and make me very fearful and what have you, but I wouldn't actually change anything. So if you are going through that, please don't think that this will be the end of you in business. It will maybe just be that particular business. And you sometimes, for me, that door had to close, because I was kind of like, what else do I do? What if I don't do this, I felt that was the only way I could make money. And as soon as the door closed and the one opened, and that is just so. And happy to talk to anybody about that. But if you are in that situation, it's a horrid time. But you do, and
you do get back from it.
Don't to ask Luke, but you do get over. You do build resilience. And it does make you, and that's why I'm thinking, I'm kind of said before, I don't want to be insensitive, but I feel a little bit more robust, because I know what, and I've got a lot, because I've done the scenario planning. I'm happy to talk through what we've done there. Is I feel I'm more prepared, so I feel more resilient,
and they say that, don't they? They say that what doesn't break us makes us stronger. And some of the most successful people, not just in our industry, but in business altogether and in work altogether, are people who have been through adversity and then learned through the lessons that teaches you, which is the positive and the silver lining. When you are faced with any kind of adversity only makes you stronger. So it's a matter of pick yourself up, dust yourself down, learn from the experience, and then just do things in a slightly adapted, different way to kind of move forward. Yeah, absolutely.
I came across Rudyard Kipling's poem a couple of days ago, and it resonates so loudly. I mean, you can read the whole, if you just Google it. I just think it's so applicable for now. The kind of, if you can dream and not make dreams your master, but the line in there of, if you can meet your with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, in this situation, you'll come out a lot stronger, a lot better. And I just echo what Emma said. I've had business go under, and there's points where you could have made a decision and you didn't, and those decisions are really hard, and you don't want to make them because you don't want to make them sometimes, and it's only kind of second, third, fourth time round that you're like, no, I'm making them. Push comes to shove. And completely echo, this is the time where, as a collective, we can show each other, our values and what's important to us. And I'm an open book as much as Emma is. If anyone needs any input or bouncing ideas off or whatever.
Amazing. Yeah, it's really great of both of you ladies to share your personal experiences.
Absolutely. And I just, and I think just one other thing on that, in case we don't come back to it, is maybe what I didn't do the first time round was see my business as something separate to me. So that going under was my failure. That going under was like, and this was who I was, and now it's completely different. It's a business. It's there to serve me. It's there to, employ people, what have you. And that if you can just see that difference between this is you and this is your business, you can have any business. You can have, you can go and work for somebody for a while you pull yourself back together, all that kind of stuff. You don't have to, you are not that business when times are tough.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose it would be great at this point to kind of share, I mean, kind of what, from a business perspective and business owners, what has it meant to both of you actually having to cancel events, move them to the end of the year? I mean, what have been the biggest challenges for you guys that you can share with the guys that are listening?
You go first on that one, Lou. Okay. And that you had a great, I didn't have any.
Well, we're in a different situation. So just to describe where we sit in the market is, we're the kind of operations team for a number of different clients. So it's our clients that have had to cancel or postpone a lot of events, and that's hard. No, that's hard. I mean, the reason why I don't own an event is because I did own an event and I wish I'd cancelled it and I didn't. And there's no easy there's no easy course through that whatsoever. So from our side, it's been a case of actually cancelling it that has been the job at hand over the last, month, 6 weeks. People can say, right, we're going to cancel the event, but actually, you need to cancel every radio, every sign, every person, every, the knock-on effect of that's huge. So I'd say, within Event Shaper, we've basically just enacted 14 crisis management plans in the space of a month, and at the same time enacted every individual's own personal crisis plan, in terms of, we do have an office, and we're quite bonded kind of as in the team, in the office environment. So moving everybody out, changing the routine, changing how we're communicating with things and I think it's probably the same for everybody on this session. You can talk about how it hits you as a mother, a business owner, an employee, an employer, as on every different level. There's going to be something that's positive and negative and stuff. So I think the hardest thing is understanding and recognizing that the last month has seen people lose their businesses, their jobs, their projects, their security even. So even if they've not actually lost anything now, there's the loss of the security of what's going to happen next. And
the purpose as well, the reason you get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah. And I think as somebody with a team, we're trying to understand the gravity of that is the most important thing. And with our clients as well, it's so hard. There's not one easy conversation that you can have with a client who's had to either cancel or postpone or think about what they're going to do with the event. There's nothing positive that will come from those conversations. It's so hard, and and obviously as the pressure rises, it's harder to keep having those conversations as well. It's really raw. And I think actually, we are all an industry where we're like, pull our socks up, let's crack on. But actually, no, just hold on a second. We've probably just had a trauma.
Massive trauma. Massive trauma, and massive trauma for the industry. And I think it's probably really important for us to take a stock of that and actually make sure that we allow ourselves time to recover from this, really, rather than kind of, if we don't want to rush back to things, kind of, we just need to make sure that we're ready and we've got that resilience to get started and rush back into things, if that makes sense. That's really important, I think, moving forward, isn't it? And
there's the uncertainty, isn't it, I think, for people in terms of because none of us actually know when we're going to be through this, and where I'm monitoring what's happening in all the other countries, but that doesn't actually mean it's going to happen like that for us. So while there's a lot of positive things, China's just had its first exhibition, I think, this week, since the outbreak. I'm looking at, obviously, I think Denmark and Austria are kind of starting to go back to normal. So you kind of hope that it's encouraging, the sense that this is not going to be forever. But I know I sit on the board of the Association of Event Organisers, and obviously this gets talked about a lot, and we're saying what we need is, it's okay the government saying, we're going to be in and out of social distancing perhaps the next 12 to 18 months, but what does that actually mean for events? Does it mean you might let them go ahead and then all of a sudden 1 week you might just pull them? Or because we need clarity, venues, from what I understand, we've only had to deal with 2, because we, unlike you, Lou, we do our own events, so we've only postponed 2. So my venues have been amazingly supportive in that, but they've got to make a living. They can't just keep letting things postpone and we've got to make some decisions around actually at what point do we cancel, at what point do we go digital or what have you, and then what's all the kind of the the contractual elements that come into it, and that's when it's and it's so that the uncertainty isn't great. No. And also it's that it's all those what ifs that come into play, and we just don't know. And so I think, as in our position as business owners, our job is just to keep communicating with the team and customers and all your other stakeholders, and just keep sort of saying, this is where we are, this is all the good stuff that's coming out, and this is what we're doing, and this is this is our strategy for at what point we make calls on certain on very do we postpone again, do we do this, that and the other. So but it's still hard, and like you said, Lou, with these people rely on us for their livelihoods, and they've got to know that we are doing everything we can to keep them going.
And bearing in mind as well that actually for a lot of people in the industry, we've come out of quite a long period of uncertainty, because we had Brexit for 2.5 years before this hit, and then the general election, and then whether we weren't going to be leaving the EU on the 31st of January. So I think we were literally getting to the point in the industry where the uncertainty had ended. We pretty much knew, right, we're out of the EU now, the industry can pick up and we start getting back to normal, and then this is hit. So it's almost like a double whammy, trauma after trauma after trauma kind of stuff. So I think kind of backs up what you guys are saying in terms of that uncertainty. It's difficult.
But then again, that's what, we are a very resilient industry, and it's that sense of, I mean, we're all itching to get back out there and to, get back, together, and there's got, we hug and kiss a lot anyway, so God knows how, what's going to be going on. I'll get back together.
Yeah.
Because, we're in that human connect, but
we're social people. It's what we do is bringing people together face to face, and
bring people together. You can. A lot of people are saying, we're on this great platform here, and I do think there'll be a lot more done digitally going forward. I think we'll think twice before jumping on a train for a meeting or a plane or what have you, on our cars. There'll, a lot more small events perhaps take place like this, but that need for human connection will not go away.
No, absolutely not. In fact, I think it'll be stronger. It'll be even more so. We'll just be using more innovative, more creative ways of connecting, but also as well more creative ways of strengthening and protecting our industry more than ever, so that this doesn't happen again, if that makes sense. They're bringing it back to that, what doesn't break you makes you stronger. So I think this is actually probably a good thing as well as all them. Again, don't want to be insensitive to anybody, because there's a lot of people going through hardship at the moment, but as well as the bad and the negative that's happening in the industry at the moment, there's a massive positive from this as well for us to look forward to. So I'm conscious for us to start some Q&A. We don't have any questions from anyone at the moment, so if you guys start having to think about some of the questions you'd like to ask Emma and Lou, and I'll go in with the third question that I was going to ask, which was really about us. We're all working from home, we're self-isolating, some people are on furlough. What has this meant to you both in terms of your self-care? And bearing in mind difficult process of cancelling and postponing the event, are there any special activities you guys have been adopting to get some, perspective, balance, look after your well-being? What kind of things have you been doing on that respect? Emma, you said you've been getting lots of sleep.
Yeah. And I want to point out that this glass here is actually water. It's not gin and tonic, but I have started doing my sort of 6 p.m. gin and tonics, which is not good for my health at all. At the end of the day, I'm drinking way too much gin. But no, I think for me, I'll be honest, I've not got into a great routine. My routine's got worse. I had a routine before, and every day I think, come on, get up and do your yoga. I used to do this stuff and, do all the healthy things I used to do, and I've not kept up to it. But what I am doing, I'm being very careful about what I'm reading, and very careful about just how much, news I'm taking on board. I'm doing the announcements that are coming out at kind of from Parliament at sort of 5 p.m. and because that's important from a business perspective to know what's there. But I'm really just being careful about what information I'm allowing to get into my psyche, if you like, and doing things like sort of within the team, especially for the team that have we've furloughed 3 people, and it's important. And again, if anyone's on the call that has been furloughed, what I would say is I had one girl who absolutely two of my team came to us and said, we really need to furlough us because there's nothing we can do and it's better for the business and we're happy to take 80% of our salary.
I've just said the same to my other job. I've just said the same to my boss there.
My other person said, absolutely, totally get it. But then her fear was, I don't feel like I'm contributing. I feel like now everyone's got to work and I get to not. It's like, you are contributing, because by taking out 3 salaries, that means the number of months we can go without having to generate any income has extended by another month. So you've made the business a lot more secure. So if you're looking to furlough people, maybe get that message across that they're actually, you know, bad term, but kind of taking one for the team. It's like they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But also, if you are being furloughed, you know, take that time to do your training and development. But please don't ever feel that you're not contributing, because you're actually keeping a business going, in my view, on that. But
great shout.
Yeah,
great shout, Emma.
I've got all these good intentions about my new routine, but yeah, I'm going to be honest, it's gin.
Lou, gin, alcohol? I have drunk more over the last couple of weeks than I would do normally. My son's school kind of threw a bit of a curveball at us. We were, obviously expecting their school to finish on the Monday, and then at Wednesday at midnight got an email saying, "Oh, surprise! His year group's not coming back to school from now." So that we had 2 days where Mummy had a meltdown, a big meltdown, and I was like, actually, and then we had the weekend, and then thought, no, we've got to get a routine, because otherwise I'm going to be not the best at anything, not a good business owner, not a good mum. And I'm in ops, so I need a routine anyway. So we've found a good balance now, which is actually much nicer than going to work. So as in, we have breakfast together, and I'm also so I suffered from postnatal depression when Jacob was little, and so I know what my mental health is like when I'm nearing an end of anything, and so that has helped me to know that I need to put some active measures in place to make sure that I'm mentally sound and in a good place. So we do breakfast. So just bring me tea. Sorry.
Lou pays him £1 to bring her tea
whenever I want
it.
He's
collecting pounds.
So that's my mental health strategy.
Brilliant.
I pay my son £1 a day to bring me tea whenever I want it. So we do things like we have breakfast together, and we do a 2-minute breathing thing. You just put into YouTube a 2-minute breathing circle, and it's just 2 minutes where you slow watch a circle going in and out, and when we just breathe together, and we do a couple of minutes stretching together as well. Then I start work, he starts school. Getting into that routine has been good for me, but I think that's part of my mindset. Like, I need it.
Yeah, I was going to say, sorry, I wasn't pointing at my watch to say, come on, wrap it up. I was saying, if you've got Fitbits, they have that on Fitbits. They have a breathing circle, and it vibrates, and you just watch it and breathe in and out the circle. So it's quite cool. That's why I was doing that.
Hadn't even got to lunchtime yet. But yeah, actually the best thing has been, I found it really hard at the beginning because I felt like I was neglecting him for the whole day. I'd go to work upstairs, he'd go to school downstairs, and it was like he got feeling like we were getting in each other's way. So we just go for a walk at lunchtime and have lunch together, and then we start back again, and just that halfway point's really helped actually to break up the day a bit more carefully.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah, I do a walk around the block with my little one. She's 3, so we walk around the block, and then we sing, J-Lo's I'm just Jenny from the block. We kind of sing I'm Lily going around the block. So then we sing that together, and we have a kind of spot the colours and stuff, because she's too young to. I spot something beginning with A kind of stuff. Yeah, so we spot the colours and stuff, and it's great because it's actually quite a special time together.
Yeah.
That in all fairness, if this wasn't happening, we wouldn't be doing that at all.
Yeah.
She'd be in nursery during the day, and I'd be working. And apart from like a Monday and Tuesday where it's our special time, so it's giving you an opportunity to spend special time nurturing relationships with people, even if you have to do it virtually. I mean, I probably haven't spoken to my family as much. And we've texted each other and messaging each other and Zoom calls and stuff with each other as much before. So it's a special time.
Thinking of, I mean, I've spoken to some friends that I haven't spoken to for a while. There's myself and a couple of friends in the industry. We have Wine Club Wednesday, so that's just kind of Wednesday evening have wine. But it was actually pulled together because a couple of them said, I don't want to work from home, I'm going to struggle. So we're like, right, come on, let's all, let's come up and support you, and we'll start Wine Club Wednesday.
Great.
And there's a thing, but you know what was lovely? My grandma is 97, I think she is. So as soon as this hit, and because I spend a lot of time in London, I said to my family, look, and my sister also has poor health. So I said, I'm just not going to come. And so I've not seen them for a long time. When it's even back, if I'm probably out of the family, I'm the most likely person to get it, spreading germs in London. And I don't want to bring it to the carers who care for my grandma.
Yeah.
So, for the first time in however long, I've written to her this week because she's quite religious. So I've sent her an Easter card, and I thought I would never have done that, and I would never have gone to visit her either. To be honest, lovely Easter weekend, I would not have gone. She lives quite far away from me. I just thought, it's things like that we can all do. Who haven't we just reached out to? Or she will absolutely love that. Little me with a few, what I've been up to or not been up to. Because it's like, oh, I've had this holiday cancelled, kind of like, but it's a small price to pay, etc., etc. And I think for the team, so bringing it back to a work perspective, team that have been furloughed, if we're having team updates about where the business is going, they've been invited to come and join those, but not the operational calls because obviously they're not allowed. Then before the Easter break, we're having an afternoon tea together, and I've got a friend who runs their company called the English Cream Tea Company. So she's actually got something called a care package, which is 2 scones, your cream and your jam and your specialty tea. So they'll all receive that. I think it's been posted out today, so they'll get it tomorrow or Thursday, and we're all just going to get on the call, on the Zoom type thing, and just not talk about work, not talk about coronavirus, just have afternoon tea together. And we can see, we all work from home, but everyone's kind of eyebrows and hair and nails are all getting like, come on, we're all going to put a bit of effort in, get your makeup on. So yeah, we've also, we've got to put a bit of effort in because we're all just getting a little bit letting ourselves go.
Nice. Yeah. No nail plan. I don't know what I'm going to do in a few weeks' time. We're kind of already getting quite long. No hairdresser, nothing. We've actually got.
But just things like that of coming together and having, afternoon tea as opposed to, I'm trying to balance it out. Wine Club Wednesday, afternoon tea.
Yes, yeah. We see what you're doing there, Emma. We see it. That is the thing, isn't it? It's about doing some special. It's doing those special things together, but also reminding ourselves about how doing those things together makes us feel and how it makes other people feel, and therefore how important it is for your well-being. And actually, in terms of building our resilience, when we do get back to that, we should keep all of this stuff up because it's really important. Relationships and connections so important to our mental health and well-being. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing from that, isn't it, really? We've got quite a few questions coming in. So there's one here right up at the top that's got quite a few votes. So we're going to go with Ken's question here. So how have your venue partners and suppliers responded to the cancellation of events? Have they been willing to negotiate RE refund or deposit or credits for arranging the event on a future date? What have you found?
I'll go quickly because I've already gone too, but quite straightforward. They've been brilliant. So the venues just said absolutely we'll work with you, pretty much as long as it was in this year, which they both are. So that's been good. So we contacted all the main suppliers, and they were very much kind of absolutely, Emma. If you postpone, not cancel. And things like we had a keynote speaker booked for April, and then they moved to July, and we just thought, actually, why don't we move to the October event because he's booked, and the October event is secure. So we've just been looking at things like that. But I have to say, for me, everyone's been absolutely amazing, and I'm getting not 100%, but most people saying that venues have been great. And I do think as an industry, we need to remember this because they're losing a lot of money. And when it comes back to kind of 21 events, they're going to have to hold their rate a lot more. They're going to have to, and so I do hope that we as organisers remember how great they've been, if they've been great. But I think by and large, my experience is that they are, and from what I hear from other people is that they've been really flexible.
Yeah, and I think that's a big message for the industry, isn't it? That everybody is going to remember the good eggs, if you can call it, the people that were, that were negotiating, that were willing to negotiate, that were kind and courteous, and weren't taking advantage of any kind of situations. I think the industry will remember that when we come back. So, yeah. Have you got anything you wanted to add on to that, Lou?
Yeah, we've had a real mixed bag, and I think this is where it kind of comes down to where companies' values are aligned or not. I mean, the venues generally are held to quite strong terms. There's a full contract in place, and deposits paid in from the get-go, and therefore I think venues can operate in a certain way. Contractors have, on the whole, been, as far as I'm aware, mostly brilliant, in spite of the knock-on effect that's now going to have. I think when some of the first shows started getting postponed, the full view of the span of change wasn't clear, and therefore the precedent that was set at the get-go with the contractors of going, yes, that's fine, let's postpone. We're potentially seeing a big problem in Q3, Q4 of how many of those contractors are going to survive the fact that some contractors have only been able to invoice 150 quid on a show that was 4, 5, 6 weeks out, and all those contractors have obviously hired people back off those dates on a full-time basis, that there's no way of recouping any of that cost. So yeah, I think generally the majority of people have been very generous in refunds and stuff. I'm not sure that we've got to the end of that problem at all. I think I would see that the contracting community is going to be a very different place come September, and the ability to bring events back online is certainly going to need managing quite carefully.
Yeah,
I'm more worried about the supply chain than I am worried about the venues, because the venue and what side it is. So there's those dates. Once they're gone for a venue, they're gone. And I think organisers, we're going to have to work really well together in terms of get-in times and get-out times and all that kind of thing. And so I was looking at moving an event, and at one point it was kind of, no, sorry, it's the event that we've moved. And I said, let me know who's in that exhibition beforehand, because if we can double up on any, if they're getting out but our contract's coming in, we can help them get out. Who do they use for the shell scheme? If we use the same company, that's great. Could we use their car? Unfortunately it's a tattoo exhibition, so I don't think we can use the carpet because it'll have ink all over it, sadly. We're looking at, I'm thinking, right, we need to be working with them to say, how can we help you get out so we can get in? And equally, when we get out, we might need to work quickly for someone else to get in. So I might have to pay for extra resources, just sort of people on the ground to dip in and ship out, which I'm happy to do because we've got to work together. But that, and what I've found for one of my, in fact, for both the venues, they've let us move, but they're sticking to the same payment terms. So the event will still need to be paid for at the time it was due, which I totally understand.
Right.
And be able to pay my suppliers at least something to kind of, but for that to happen, I need my customers to pay me. And then we've got customers being furloughed, customers not, and this is where we need the uncertainty to end, because if they don't believe the event's actually going to take place, they're not paying, and rightly so. I don't think pay for something that I wasn't sure I was going to get it, like a service I'm paying for. So we have come to a bit of a standstill, and it is, once again, the smaller the company, the more of that that you take on kind of thing. And it's so we're a small business, I'm trying to get money to supply for an event that's been postponed, but
Yeah.
It's
No.
not easy.
Cash flow is tricky as a business owner, isn't it? So ensuring that you've got that cash flow and that it's fluid. Cash is king, they say, for any kind of business and for the resilience and sustainability of any business.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and I think it's
I'm going to jump us
also
on
the
to the
knowledge of that as well. So where there's a cash flow implication, just making sure that everybody in the chain is aware of where those blocks are, because you might not even know you've got a cash flow problem until it's too late. If you're not aware that someone's not got an intention of continuing down a road, or and that will go from venues right through. So I think if there's two messages certainly coming out of ESSA, kind of with my ESSA hat on, number one is that any bills that are legitimate kind of do need to be prioritized, but two, just make that information come through. I think none of us are thinking that there's not problems. We all know that every company is facing their own very unique set of challenges. I think now more than ever is the time to go, do you know what? I'm doing all I can, but this is all I can promise you, and this is really important.
Yeah.
And also, I'm absolutely on my numbers. One of the things that I'm better at after losing a business. So,
yeah.
Or all things like that. I can, and all my different scenarios are all planned out financially. What happens if this? What happens if no one pays us for that, or what have you? So I know what's needed in the business. So whatever you do, if you're going through, if even just like an event budget, don't put your head in the sand. Absolutely know who you can pay when and why, and when you need to get. And again, if people are with money, just get a feel for it. We're saying to people, all our clients, our hotels, a lot of them are independent, so they're really being hit. And it's like, just be honest with us. If you can't pay till June, say June.
Because it could be that you can do something about that. You can hold it off until June.
Well, kind of, it's the same as on site, isn't it? You end up with a problem, and you kind of look at all the people around you and try and come up with a solution. We really need as an industry to do the same thing, but virtually. If there's a problem, the more people that can know about that, the more you can kind of go, right, okay, I get that. As long as I can plan on that, we're fine. It's going back to how do I feel about this overall? We're in a game of chess. One move will affect another move and affect another move, and so it's just knowing what those moves might be that you need to know.
Which is quite nice. On to the next question. We've got quite a few, so I'm going to have to quickly run through these last questions because I want to make sure that we answer everyone's questions for them. Basically, it's from Gemma Dawson. So she basically said, could you go through some of your scenario planning and what your priorities have been over the past few weeks? Were you guys happy to share some of that scenario planning that you've been doing? I think you touched on it briefly, didn't you, Emma?
Yeah, so for me, I've done a 3-phase plan. And phase 1 was all about what needs to be done right now. So that's kind of, make sure the speak to all our clients where we are, make sure we're going to get the government support that's been offered, so speak to HMRC, all that kind of stuff, rates relief. So that was kind of phase 1, kind of get a really clear picture of the financial situation. Phase 2 was all that, we moved the April show once we knew it wasn't going to be able to go ahead, but it's now in July. So obviously so we've got lots of questions that we'll ask ourselves at the end of April, and it's kind of go on or go. Then we've got another series of questions if we get to the end of May, go on or go. And it's not just about whether we're in lockdown, it's about, confidence in the industry. Our hotel's open. If they're not going to open until July and our event's the 7th of July, what kind of show we're going to have, how we're going to alter all the marketing and all that kind of thing. So it's kind of that short term what if July event, but even down to what happens in October. We do a lot of work we do independent venue road shows. The independent hotels are going to be hit. Are they going to be able to afford them? So we're now phase 3 of our plan is how else do we make money as an industry if we can't make it out of events? How do we kind of sweat our assets, look at the team and their skills, look at the relationships that we have, look at the data that we hold, and how can we pivot the business to still serve the industry but do it differently when they might not have, they're going to need to get out there, they're going to need to sort of do stuff, but they're not have the thousands and that, 10,000-20,000 pound budgets to do something. So we're saying, we might need to really work with a lot more venues at lower cost options and start to break up what we do. So yeah, it was all what if, and bigger picture, it's things like, okay, well, you have opportunities to acquire other businesses at this time. If we're secure as a business, how do we grow in this time? How do we make ourselves even more resilient and a better business? Because if we've got to make money in a different way now, when the business comes back, we've then got more ways of making money, if you like, or generating income. So it's just looking at what if this goes ahead, and it's even down to, we have student volunteer programs. What if the universities aren't open? Then we've got to think about bringing in, non-volunteers. What if, what if the hotels are open? What if there's low confidence? What if we can have mass gatherings, but there's still, company and travel bans? And it's all then because the venues, if you don't have to cancel your event and you choose to, I think the venues have got every right to have a different mindset on that. We cannot event. So there's all that. What point are we forced to? At what point do we choose to? All your not insurance, but all your terms and conditions change depending on whether you can or you can't. So it's all those things to consider. But
there's
what may or
absolutely. But there's the insurance implication of that as well, isn't there? If you decide to cancel an event when you don't have to cancel an event, then effectively you're not covered.
Doesn't kick in for this kind of thing as well. So I'm even thinking, what actually is the point of having cancellation insurance?
Yeah.
Because under what circumstances cancel where they can
do you get your money? Yeah, exactly.
Do I save myself thousands of pounds every year and just have PL and the insurance we actually need? Because under what circumstances do they ever pay out?
Do they ever pay out?
Yes.
Yeah. No, anything to add on that?
I'm probably just slightly reiterating. I mean, looking for those advantages of the situation. Kind of we set up a kind of training arm to the business, and there was a commercial plan for that. We've turned that to a free thing, so we're offering free ops training over the next couple of months, 20 minutes a week. Opportunities to give back to the industry or give back to society, and your kind of your risk mitigation is one thing, and you have to dig into every number. We're not spending the same money that we did on petrol, for example. So, stripping all of that stuff that is usually just factored into your general overheads, and looking at how you can take that right down, and looking at when your exposure might reduce. So luckily we were just about to sign our lease on our premises on a reterm, so we might just not be able to sign that for a little while, just to give you as many options as possible. And I think with everything in personal, in business, there are things that you automatically discount as an option because you don't want it to be so. But you just have to get into the mindset of putting everything on the table, and then looking at everything, and even where you've discounted, oh no, I couldn't do that, that would be terrible, to keep it on the table and look at everything. And then sometimes you might have to make some decisions you don't want to make. So
we went through our event cost line by line. Like, do we absolutely need to do that? It's a lovely thing to do, but do we absolutely need it? Can we make that bit, digital? The keynote speaker was £10,000. Do we need him at this event, or can we move him to October? And does this event, because my view is, because it's an event for the meetings industry, if it can take place in July, and fingers crossed it can, I'll probably have our best year ever, because the whole industry will want to be.
Everyone will be there. They'll be running in. There'll be like a big scrum.
Yeah.
We'd end up having the best event ever in that sense. But yeah, we were lucky. So at what point do we absolutely do we need £10,000? Because obviously we are getting cancellations, so our income is down. We actually saved £5,000 off one event that was already pretty lean. So if you really go through it line by line, do you absolutely need that? Do you absolutely?
Is it a nice to have? Is it necessary?
Yeah. But when push comes to shove, what is an event? Are the fridges full? Is there like what's the minimum point we can actually hold a face-to-face event, and then work up from there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take us on to the next question. This is from Natasha. And so, when it's time to take your employees off of furlough, do you think this will need to be staggered? Who is giving employers guidance on this? I think it's the government, first of all, isn't it? I think. But what do you think?
About furlough, sadly, but and this is where I've been, part of communities like this, but also I'm part of different entrepreneurial communities, and I've been getting lots of advice around the furlough. But I think, you can stagger it. I mean, at the moment it's only for 3 months, and it's March, April, May.
Yeah.
So, in theory, everybody should come back on the 1st of June. Can do things like you can furlough people in cycles, and you only have to furlough for 3 weeks at a time. So you can make somebody 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. Or if you've got a team, you can furlough one member of the team for 3 weeks, or however long you want, and bring them back, rotate them. So it's not, I think for me, it would have been better if you could put people on reduced hours and ask the government to make up their hours. So you could put people, if they're 5 days a week, onto 2 or 3 days a week, so they're still in the business. But that's not really the point of it. It still would save jobs. The fact that you've got to furlough an entire person, if you like, it's very sensitive, and it's around who somebody gets 80% of the salary and gets to stay and home and not work, where other people have to work. It's very tricky. The only good thing from managing the people who have to work is that the people who are not working can't go out and enjoy themselves. Like, they'd probably rather be at work. They'd rather have that structure in their lives, unless they're looking after and homeschooling and looking after kids. That's and what have you. But it really, as an employer, it's up to you how you bring people back. Up until the end of May. Then at the moment, because they might extend it, but the moment, 1st of June, the idea is that you bring them back.
Okay. Yeah. Anything, Lou? Anything from you?
No, not really. I mean, we've unfortunately, for another reason, like cancelling that many events or postponing that many events, our team is still flat at it. I can't afford to let any of them go because there's too much still to be done. Like how many shows can you unravel in 6 weeks? So I'll let you know when I finish. So no, I'm absolutely useless to you all on that front.
Fabulous. Right, well, let's go on to Sarah's question then. So she's put, how are you approaching planning for events scheduled in Q3, if any? Is there a sense of continuing as normal, or taking it slow for the fear of them being rescheduled into Q4 or even 2021?
I think everything we do now is we're doing it kind of. It's like, and that's what's, so yes, we're planning, and even for our event in July, we're planning for it. It's going ahead until we're told it can't. And if you look at other countries coming out of it now, if we start to come out of this in May, July for domestic events could be okay. It's all that thing about if there's waves, and so for me, I think you've got to just go at it as if it's going ahead and have a contingency plan for if it doesn't, because the fear is that you can get to a point, oh my God, we didn't, we wondered if it was go ahead, so we haven't actually organised it. We've got to actually organise the event. So it's kind of, so for me, you've got to just go as if it's going ahead and plan either way.
Yeah, good shout.
Lou, well, we're starting to face some problems already with Q3, Q4, mainly because the amount of people on furlough. So obviously the vast majority of contractors are not going to be doing mock-ups of feature areas and giving you costs and all that kind of side of things because they're not working and they can't work. So the amount of time it's going to take to actually operationally plan Q3, Q4 is severely hindered at the moment just by everyone being furloughed. Secondary to that, the things that I think operationally we'll need to get our heads around is how long it will take to decommission the main venues from being virus smothered places to being event centres that are fit for purpose again. And then third onto that is, and this is where it's finger in the air, how many companies are going to be still around to fulfill the shows in that time of the year, especially with the increased number of shows in the autumn period, with less companies but also less labour. I imagine, so all the people that the freelancers that kind of got hit first with the takeaway of work and not much financial commitment back, have all gone and found other jobs. So we're kind of potentially looking at a bit of a sticky situation if the events do come back online. I'm obviously hoping they will. So yeah, I think it's just going to take all of us, in the associations, with AEO, ESSA and the AEV, the kind of hashtag of kind of stronger together, better together, has to hold firm. We have to come together collectively as the three parts of one industry to make the Q3, Q4 happen, if it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Can I touch on what you said around the freelancers? And they are obviously finding it very difficult right now. And if they can hold, hang on in there, because Q3, Q4 for us is going to be so busy. So I put actually out in Delegate Wranglers last week that in part of my contingency planning, so going back to that, what different scenarios I've planned for, what if I lose 30% of my team due to illness, what if they go off, so we're using this time to write a detailed plan and procedures for everything that we should have in place anyway, but we're really looking through them and putting the finer detail onto them all, because if anyone's off, we need to bring a freelancer in. So I think if they're still around and they can survive the next few months, we're going to need freelancers more than ever. Yeah. So I think we had applications, which is great, from people saying, we're here for you if this is what my discipline is, so that if we have people go off, we've got a bank now we can go to. If it all happens at last quarter of the year and we're all snowed under, we've got a bank of freelancers. So I think that if you are a freelancer and you can just hang in there, if you can use the government's support in terms of if you are self-employed to get you through. I know again you don't get the money straight away, so it's very difficult. But if you can survive, I think we're going to need you more than ever, and hopefully there will be enough work out there for everybody coming through Q3, Q4, and more so. It's just getting through the next few months for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I think is probably quite a nice closing kind of statement to finish on. Any closing comments you want to make? We have got a couple of questions. Charlie's got a question. He's saying about tweaking terms and offered flexibility for fees, changes, postponements. Several clients have been quite dismissive to this and not paying. I kind of think we covered that a little bit earlier when we're saying that this is a time for the industry to recognise that those people who are willing to negotiate and are being flexible are the ones that will be remembered when we come out of this. Probably just on a closing thing for that, have you guys got anything to add on to that, just as a finishing statement in terms of flexibility, us being kind and looking out for each other, and closing it on the mental health and well-being type thing?
I think the mental health and well-being really is, I'm tempted just to say gin, but I know that's not what you're looking for. I think it's almost like just dig deep. We will come out of this. This will end. It will be different. I think our working lives will be different going forward forever, but possibly in some good ways. Some people who've always had to go into the office and not liked it, and now maybe their bosses will say, actually, you can work from home. We'll travel less, I think, in a good way. We will look after our own health. If we can use this time to just connect with people and also ourselves, look after ourselves, we'll come out of it in a much stronger way. You just got to keep going in that whole stick together, do the best that we can, and just look forward to when we can all get together again and have all those cuddles and hugs and support each other as much as we can, and reach out to people, come on things like this, ask for help if I think is a key
thing. 100% stronger together. Hey, Lou?
That's it, stronger together. The three can't operate without each other. We really do need to solidify that, and I think actually the three haven't operated that well together over the years, and now's our massive opportunity. And there will be change and things won't be as they were, but we've been looking for solutions to problems for a while now, and this might present some of the answers.
Yeah, definitely. Great closing statements, ladies. Thank you very much. I know that Berenice, she said, love the afternoon tea. We'll suggest this to my company.
Yeah, I love that one too.
So thumbs up that one. Yeah, it is a good idea. EventWell might do an afternoon tea. I love the idea now. And you're going to have to give me some ideas, Emma, afterwards.
English cream tea company.
I'm going to check it
out. Jane. And her stuff's really good.
Check it out after. Kitty Baker, I know you've got a question in terms of looking at suppliers, how you can encourage companies to do the initial booking now and confirm events. There is some networking afterwards for half an hour, and so I think Emma and Lou, you're going to stick around for a bit to do some networking. So perhaps you guys can meet up in the networking lounge area on the tables and ask some more questions there. And because Laura, you've got another question as well in terms of members. So I can chat to you a little bit about that afterwards as well. And I know that Lou and Emma's with Association of Event Organisers and Lou's with ESSA. So perhaps you could help Laura in terms of that question she's got in terms of membership retainment is more what she's asking about. So that kind of brings us to the end of the presentation bit. So huge thanks to Lou and Emma for the time, honesty and thought leadership today. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you both. And a huge thank you to everyone who's joined us today for our second edition of EventWell Talks. This will be on YouTube later. It's gone out live on YouTube today, and there'll be a recording going on our channel later today as well. So if you want to refer back to it, you can come and watch it there. Make sure you check out eventwell.org. We're the mental health and wellbeing voice of the events industry, and your wellbeing supports in this difficult period and beyond that as well. We've got EventWell Chat happening on Twitter later this evening between 7 and 8. So if you've got any questions, you can drop into there and we'll do our best to answer those for you. Join using hashtag EWChat. Tomorrow is our Wellbeing Wednesday drop-in lunch. So grab your lunch and a cuppa and come and connect and have a natter with us there for Wellbeing Lunch. I'll have a new link coming out later this evening, which will be on the website, because we got Zoom bombed last Friday. That was fun. There you go. So there's a new link coming out later today. And we've got our big fat virtual pub quiz happening on Thursday at 5:30. So if you fancy getting a team together, having a bit of fun, taking the quiz champion crown, then come and have a go at that. I know how competitive event professionals are, so it should be fun. Okay. On the serious side, though, as well, if you or someone you know is struggling and you're in need of support, then we have a dedicated industry support line. We have a number of support groups. Please reach out. We've got event professionals who are trained in mental health first aid, who are admins of those groups, and also on the end of a text or the comment form that you can use on our website. So please, if you need support, if you need help, if you're struggling, remember it's okay to not be okay, but please do reach out for help, and we'll try our best to support you and signpost you to professional help if that's what you need. We're there to listen more than anything else, and that's really important. All of our events and services you'll find on the website at eventwell.org. I think that's it. And keep an eye out, EventWell Cast. So our new podcast. So we've got a special recording being made tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. The link to the podcast is on the website. So make sure you subscribe to that so you can hear tomorrow's episode that we're recording. And last but no means least, huge thanks again to Lou and Emma. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Stay at home, stay well and stay kind. Thank you, everybody.